Her pregnancy revealed something out of the ordinary. Katie Smith was just a normal mid-20-year-old young lady. Well, that is if you think the situation's normal. Miss Smith was a mere 24 years old when something unexpected began growing in her stomach. Doctors were baffled and just couldn't figure out what it was. Katie's stomach started to grow and blew up so quickly it looked as if she was pregnant. The strange aspect, she wasn't pregnant at all. She took pregnancy test after pregnancy test. They were all negative, however. Doctors simply dismissed her worries. Smith is from Swansea in Wales and started noticing some strange weight gain. Within a few years, she'd gone from normal to someone that looked as if they were pregnant at full term. Smith told BBC that she was never a very thin girl, but she'd slowly developed this huge belly. Katie truly followed a healthy lifestyle and was conscious of her figure, as most young ladies are at that age. She was an avid gymmer and embraced her curvy figure. This is the reason that the weight gain was not only frustrating but confusing. The unsolved mystery continued. She assessed her symptoms and all the features that accompanied what her body was going through, and there was one explanation: pregnancy. Her stomach area was expanding, she was constantly tired, and she was also in a serious relationship. As she analyzed all the components over and over again, she was certain that it meant that she had a bun in the oven. Both Katie and her boyfriend were rather nervous. If she was pregnant, it was certainly unplanned and had not been on her agenda right now. After taking a pregnancy test, the couple was a bit taken aback that it came back with a negative. The two simply thought the test was incorrect and instantly went for round 2. The same result: the test was negative. Katie had thought about it so much, she didn't understand how she wasn't pregnant. It really looked and felt as if she was. What was up? She didn't trust the doctor and his conclusion. However, they were the professionals, so she had no other choice really, right? If Katie was indeed pregnant, well, the issue would disappear when the baby was born. However, her belly continued growing for 2 whole years. Each and every month it got larger and larger until one day at work, something horrible happened. Katie was being asked about her pregnancy everywhere she went. People noticed her expanding stomach, and she couldn't even attempt to hide it. She explained the situation over and over. "The doctors say I'm just overweight," Katie continued telling all those that asked each and every day. She was frustrated with the situation and saw no solution in the near future. No solution was ahead. "I remember trying to shop for clothes in December 2016 and nothing would fit. I was skin and bone on top, then this massive lump and normal legs. The only thing that was going to fit was maternity wear." Katie had become stubborn about seeing the doctor. It was after fainting a few times, breathing difficulties, and major weight gain had truly halted her quality of living, and she needed assistance more than ever. It was as if doctors were not taking her case seriously or her symptoms. As time went on, they carried on blaming anything and everything they could in her life. Katie decided enough was enough. She wanted answers, real ones. Katie carefully watched the doctor as she did the ultrasound. When she saw her expression, it became evident that something was not right. Not at all. The doctor's eyes grew, and her facial expression dimmed. The doctor looked as if he was even petrified. The doctor asked for a consultation, and Katie was ridden with fear. Jamie, her boyfriend, tried to calm her down and ease her fear, but panic had set in, and she was completely shaken up. What was in her belly? What was growing? The screen was completely blank. The ultrasound screen, that is. Katie was not pregnant, this was confirmed. But something was wrong. They didn't know what, but they knew that it was life-threatening. There were endless possibilities. Regardless, they requested a CAT scan urgently to get to the bottom of this. Katie was terrified, worried, anxious, and had no clue what was going to follow. Her mind was racing as she waited to find out what was wrong. The CAT scan that had been requested since the ultrasound was completely blank depicted something absolutely crazy. Doctors tried to calm Katie down and prepare her for what they were going to reveal and explain. Both she and her boyfriend waited in suspense. Katie was not pregnant, that was certain. Her large stomach was due to the development of a massive ovarian mass. Katie's world came to a complete halt at this very moment. The doctor didn't know what he was dealing with or the extent of the mass. Another possibility was that there were multiple cysts and that they may be attached to other organs within her abdomen. Katie was petrified, and she knew that there was no other choice but to undergo surgery. The doctor was certain of one thing, and that was that Katie would lose an ovary. Furthermore, she was told that her hospital stay might have to be longer than expected. It depended on exactly where the cyst was. She felt as if she was giving her life away. Katie was told by her doctor that her surgery would be in 4 weeks' time. It came quicker than she expected, almost in a flash. Between the time that Katie had visited the doctor and her surgery, her stomach had evolved even more. It was measuring an additional 5 inches. This was a drastic development. Given the severity of Katie's situation, a high-risk obstetric specialist was referred and would be one of the individuals operating. As they explained the procedure, they discussed how an incision would be made from Katie's chest bone all the way down to her pelvic bone. This was the incision that used to be performed in previous day C-sections. The day arrived sooner than she thought. Katie checked in at the hospital and was putting on her surgery gown as well as her socks. As she dressed, the nurse led her along the corridor. Katie was shaking with fear. She was so nervous and terribly afraid of needles. Being put under is a worry for many individuals. The doctors had planned for the operation to go on for approximately an hour. Things took an unexpected turn and she ended up being in surgery for 5 hours. This stressed out her family, of course, as they sat in the waiting room, nervously waiting and praying for their beloved Katie. The doctors were doing their best, but what was the outcome? Her cyst was gigantic, but the aspect that truly took everyone by surprise was how heavy it was. It was about time this huge mass was removed from poor Katie's abdomen. Katie was ecstatic. She would soon be back to her normal life, and this entire experience would be behind her. It needed to be. The cyst inside Katie's belly weighed in at a whopping 60 pounds. She was weighing 60 pounds more because of this thing. If you're unsure about how much that is, think about how heavy 7 babies would be. She was carrying around the weight of 7 babies in her stomach. She was awoken by nurses describing and showing her images of just how big it was. A mere 4 days passed and Katie was discharged. Her mom and her boyfriend had been right by her side through it all. Katie had been so terribly scared, but she'd overcome it and was definitely worth the struggle. Katie says she doesn't remember what it was like with that additional 60 pounds slowing her down. However, the surgery had a small complication. Katie had been left with a large scar, the size of a ruler, from the top of her chest all the way down to her pelvis. Something she'll have forever. Katie made a rather quick recovery. She was up and walking quite soon after her operation. She was eager, excited, and simply wanted to get going with her new beginning. There was one downside of the surgery, unfortunately. Katie lost her right ovary. As Katie reflects on her recovery, she explains how it's been incredibly easy and her life has changed forever. Katie explains how her health is completely different and way better than the years before. She's better both physically and mentally. It's crazy how one surgery altered her entire life. Katie would never have had the confidence to share her story if this was a year prior. She had the ability to develop and love her body. Now she's comfortable in her own skin. Katie is now publicly telling her story. She's an inspiration to all and aiming to inspire others. Regardless of such a tough experience and the constant reminder which she sees in her scars and stretch marks, she snapped back and is living a normal life. The greatest of all is that she'll be able to have children with just one ovary, thankfully. Katie is appreciative of her surgeon.